Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Gambacorda.
And I'm Lisa Byrne with E.P.I.C, Empowering People, Inspiring Community. And today for our Good Karma Community Solutions interview, we have with us Lisa Parker and Allison McKee of Lisa Parker's Puppies. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, welcome. Why don't we start with you guys just telling us a little bit about, what it is you actually do and what's the mission?
Yeah, great. We are a foster-based rescue here in Durango, Colorado. Our mission is to find forever homes for rescued dogs. We take all breeds, all ages, and try to find them homes. Sorry, we got a little one here too that's just being a little naughty. So.
Is Remy going to say hi?
Remy can say hi. There he is.
Remy.
Oh, he might be going to go on a cage now.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how everything got started? I know it's evolved in the process, and you're celebrating your 5th year. So tell us like how that got started and what your current role is, and then maybe how Allison came to be part of this project and what she's doing as well.
Yeah, good story. So I actually, we've been officially Lisa Parker's Puppies for 6 years, but we were under Dogster Spay Neuter program, whom we still work with, DSNP, for the first year, and then we got our own nonprofit in August of 2015. It was started, fairly organically because I was born and raised here in Durango, and I have driven through areas that are a little bit more remote towards Arizona, northern New Mexico, and have always just had a big heart for the dogs that are down there that have, a little bit more need than they do in our, our little, I love to say, our bubble of posh Durango dog living. So I did start when I was 21. I picked up my first dog on the side of the road near Kayenta, Arizona. And I remember working for, $6 an hour then, and he needed about $2,000 worth of work. So it took me a couple years to pay him off. And it just progressed until about the spring of 2014. My husband and I did about 75 dogs ourselves. And then we took in a litter of 6 bottle feeders. And we, the amount of money, financial and also just support that we needed otherwise for fostering became a little overwhelming. And that's when we officially launched Lisa Parker's Puppies and started getting foster homes and fundraising and making it a little bit more official. And then Allison came on with us. It's her 2-year anniversary. Mm-hmm. Started out, it's like big. That's a big celebration for me. So I'm officially the executive director, and she is the program director, which means we both do everything all the time. That's our job description.
Yeah, I answered, I don't want to say answered an ad, but I saw a thing on a shout out on Facebook looking for foster families for a puppy. I was pregnant with my 2nd son and feeling all those hormones. And I was like, yes, I want to foster. It's perfect. So that's where I started, my kind of journey with Lisa Parker Puppies in 2015. And then we slowly just started fostering more. I really got to see Lisa's passion and really learned, how important foster-based rescue is, and really fell in love with that concept and learned like this is what the future of rescue is. And got to come on with Lisa, about 2 years ago. And it's been a really cool growing process. And I'm excited to be a part of this program.
You probably have some people listening who don't fully understand when you say foster-based. So can you help people understand what that is and how it's a little bit different than other kinds of rescues?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So foster-based or foster-centric means that we don't have a facility where the animals are kept overnight. They are all in people's homes. So instead of going into like a shelter environment, or even, the ones that are a little bit nicer, they live in homes with people. Every single one of our animals, from the minute they're rescued till they get adopted, are staying with these people. So, So that means a lot of extra work for Allison and myself. But what it does is allow the animal to show its true personality, and it allows us to get to know them. One of the 5 freedoms, the 5 basically rights of animals is to also, one of them is to be able to be in a stress-free environment to show their personality. And that's a freedom to me that is extremely important, because under stress, I don't always want to be judged about who I am under stress, and nor do I think it's fair that an animal should be judged about who they are, for better or for worse. And so the foster-based, foster-centric program, though it means a lot of hands-on, a lot more labor-intensive on the side of the people who run it, ideally it's the best case scenario for the animal. Hopefully that answered the question. I have long answers, sorry.
That's great. And we have a wonderful pup named Levi, who's taking a nap in the other room right now, but that we got from Lisa Parker's Puppies. And we're so impressed with everything that you guys do as far as communication with the parents right from the get-go, and then introducing with the fosters and meet and greets and everything, the way you guys do that. Can you explain a little bit about the process of adoption and what that looks like?
Yeah, so like Lisa talked about, since the dogs are in foster homes, we really get to learn about their personality and a little bit about what kind of home they'll thrive in. I have a home that has 3 dogs and 2 children. So we get to see how they are around other dogs, around kids. Would they enjoy a home like that? Or would they enjoy a home where they're just going to be a single dog, with maybe a couple that's retired and a little bit lower energy? So how that we get to learn about that dog, and then that dog will, go up for adoption officially, and people can apply. We have a great thorough application that has a lot of thoughtful questions that talks about your past history with dogs, what you're looking for, and gives you a realistic approach of this dog is going to be in your life forever, and to really ask yourself those questions if this is the right dog for you. We really strive to match that dog with the right home. Of course, we think all dogs are cute and adorable, and as do a lot of people, but it might not be that perfect dog for your home and lifestyle. So we really work to match that. So we talk in depth with adopters, asking, are they okay with certain behaviors? Are they willing to get that dog out for a 5-mile run? A kennel dog and might look adorable. You might think that that's what you want, but that dog, requires a lot of energy. So we have a lot of those thoughtful conversations with people. And we also work closely with our foster families. They're the ones that are seeing those dogs day in and day out and can tell us, the ins and outs of them. So it's a lot of text messages, a lot of phone conversations. It's videos sent to those people, FaceTiming, and then we have those meet and greets where they are in our environment. And it's really cool because we know if there's certain dogs that aren't going to thrive, even though this is our facility, it's still sometimes a little bit scary. So we say, okay, let's go into that foster home where the dog is completely feeling comfortable. And it's also a great thing for those potential adopters. They get to see how that dog is already bonded to the foster family. They might be a little shy and timid, but you can see that relationship that they have already created with the foster family, which is a really cool thing to see it in such a short amount of time. And then after that, they'll go through the adoption process if it's a right fit. And then we work with them to make sure that everything's going well. We follow up with behavioral classes. We want it to be successful for the dog and for the family. So it's a lot of talking and chatting with people.
Yes.
So yeah. One of the things that we really appreciated so much was the high level of communication. Also knowing that this is a long-term relationship. It's the LPP family that you're part of, and you weren't going to just get like, here's the dog and good luck.
Yep.
All this socialization with the behavioral classes was really amazing, because I think when people adopt, their idea is that, oh yeah, this dog's going to get training and then they're going to be perfect. And it's really like, no, I'm going to get training.
100%.
People that work with dogs every single day, and that's going to benefit me and the relationship I'm building with the new family member. So thank you guys for just all you do, because it was a fantastic experience for us for sure. So we learned a lot about ourselves and Levi, I think.
Totally. That's
Every
great.
dog teaches me something. Every single dog.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's such a well thought out adoption process. So, can you also share, like, for people who might be interested in fostering, like how it is you pick those people, how you train them, so that there's some consistency with the interaction with the dogs?
For sure.
Yeah, it's not that dissimilar to the adopter, to be honest. We have a process. We do have a foster agreement that has, again, thoughtful questions. And we talk to them a lot. What's your time commitment? What would you have a hard time dealing with? What's uh, all those things are come into fostering as well. And then, and sometimes it is matching a foster to foster as well. It's not just any foster should take any dog. They all have their strengths as well that we want to help, accentuate and be positive. We do provide foster training. We had some seminars here with our behaviorist, did some teaching. I did some, Allison, and then also our veterinarian. To give that education on both behavior guidelines and health, and then what we like to see. So we've been able to do a couple of those. It will all be online soon as of COVID. So, but we're very available again and very hands-on with all of our fosters as well. Lots of texting. We're always available to them to answer questions. We don't ever want them to feel like they are, here's your dog and you're on your own, same as an adopter. So we're very, very in touch and helping, if a behavioral problem comes up. But we set, minimum guidelines of like, they need to learn how to walk on a leash politely. They need to learn not to jump, which is just the sit command. And they need to learn to sleep in a crate at night, because those are some of the best feedback that we get post-adoption about the teaching and the things that we do prior to adoption. So, really we supply everything, all the physical goods, all that emotional support, behavioral stuff, veterinary care. What we ask is patients follow a few guidelines and some love. So there's a lot of people out there that probably think they can't foster that actually really could foster. And one of the common things is they say, I couldn't do what you would do, or I would keep them all, or I don't know how you give them up, and my answer to them is like, I don't foster because it's easy to let them go. I foster because it's easier than watching them die. And that's the truth, because if you don't let them go to the next home, I can't pull that next one out of the shelter. And that one doesn't have the same chance. So though it can be difficult, also our foster feedback is so wonderful that they get to meet the future forever home, and they get to have an interaction with them. Sometimes they meet up for play dates, and they know that that dog is going to such a good home that it wasn't just, given away without thoughtfulness. And that makes still the tears come sometimes, but it makes that easier to let them go.
I think it's also important, Lisa and I both, if you hear there's some dogs here, and Lisa and I both have a foster here at our facility. So we're going through that process, all the time. We know what it's like. I've cried giving dogs away. Lisa's cried giving dogs away. Of course, we create that, really intense bond. But I feel like I'm almost that kindergarten teacher that gets to see their kids at graduation, when I get to see them out, in the wild, or I see them on a trail, and it's just the most amazing thing, seeing that dog from when we got them, they blossomed, and now they get to live, their best Durango life. So that part makes it, all really worth it. And I always tell people that if they're kind of on the fence, don't know if they're emotionally ready, it's just such a huge thing to be able to do that and give back to the dogs. And then, we also are giving back to the community by making sure that we have polite, well-rounded dogs that are out there. So I think it's a win-win for everyone.
Can you tell everybody a little bit about how they can connect with you? And then also, because you're foster based, and you talked about, Lisa, at one point you were making $6 an hour and trying to support everything. And now we see you've got this facility and you're growing. So tell people also how it is that, if they don't want to foster and they love dogs, but they aren't ready to adopt right now, how can they support this whole process and keep the thriving of dogs,
Yeah.
in the area?
Of course.
and beyond, right? People can donate and do their part from anywhere. And you also, if somebody is, you know, like I say, oh my God, this dog would be perfect for my niece and she's in another state, you guys can do transfers to other states.
Yep. We have dogs that are, you're frozen. I didn't get the last end of the part, but I think I can know. So to be able to get in touch, we have a really great website that you can fill out our application to adopt, application to foster. We also have a lot of volunteer opportunities for people that aren't interested or aren't able to bring a dog into their home. We have people that can help with transports, puppy wrangling when we do intakes, taking dogs out for walks. And you can find that all on our website. And then we have active social media pages, our Facebook and our Instagram. Your feeds will be filled with lots of dog pictures, you know, really fun success stories to see. If you are able, like we said, there's a lot of things that go into our program that financially we need to sustain. We have lots of dogs that we're able to take in from the shelter that require, you know, certain medical things. If you're familiar with our dog, Boomer, who we recently have taken in, which I know, Lisa, you have enjoyed following his story. It's a long process and it's an in-depth thing. We drove him to Fort Collins multiple times. We had telehealth appointments and he's been at the vet multiple times.
Every day this week.
Yeah, multiple times. So, you know, well, we fundraised for his surgery and that was an awesome, you know, response from the community that supported him. But we also have lots of foster dogs that go into the vet for an allergic reaction. Those little small things that continue to add up. So of course, donating financially is, you know, an awesome way to give back. We also have our Guardian program, which is a monthly donorship. That's something that we help sustain us, that we know in the future kind of been able to plan financially for a year. You can donate. That's a really easy way to donate, you know, in small increments, but having a bigger impact. You know, if you can't donate $100 today, you can donate $10 every day or every month. And it comes in for us, and it's a really great program. If you are not able to donate financially, sharing our posts on social media, telling people, you know, if you have a friend that's like, I think we want to, you know, find a dog, sharing about our program, and just always encouraging people to go the route of rescue, encouraging them, especially if you have a dog that's from a rescue, you know, showing them like, I got this dog from a rescue. They're an awesome dog. Those lives deserve to be saved. And then of course, always encouraging people to spay and neuter, because that's the only way to eliminate, you know, unwanted pet population.
We would like to be out of a job.
Yes, exactly.
That's gonna be a while.
Yeah, so there's lots of opportunities to get involved. Our social media and our website has a wealth of information that kind of can go over a lot of those things. Yeah.
So give everybody what those links are so that they can go
So www.lisaparkerpuppies.com, and then we're Lisa Parker Puppies on Instagram as well as our Facebook page. So we're pretty active on there.
One other follow-up to that, people that already have dogs and they go to a lot of you know, pet stores here, you guys also have opportunities where, you know, maybe they can buy extra food or something and donate to that way, correct?
Yeah. Yesterday, Lisa and I were just talking. One of our fosters said they needed food, and I was like, I thought we just bought a bunch of food, and these dogs just keep eating it.
They eat us out of house and home.
All of our growing pups.
Yeah, Creature Comforts has a bin out there for all the rescues really in town. They do a great job of the give back in that way. They have stuff like piled up on their website. Like first thing, if you go there, it shows what Lisa Parker's Puppies wants, and you can order it online, you can call it in, or you can go there. And that is a huge help. We've been unable, just because we're small, haven't been able to get food sponsorships, but we have tried. So we are hoping for that down the road. But right now, our local community, like everything, helps us with that. And Creature Comforts, again, has been, you know, amazing. They also donate food and goods and everything that you could possibly imagine. And they also help us with the fostering and showing off of the animals as well. So.
And can people donate, like, I know we donated a crate to you when we didn't have need for it any longer. Can you guys take those regularly from people? Is there any restrictions on things that they can also pass over?
We take most things, because even if we can't use them, we pass them on to New Mexico, to the Pets in Need Fund down there. So even if it's certain things that, like, okay, we've outgrown our space here and we have no more room for crates, we can pass those on, or food, or collars and leashes and harnesses, and all that stuff can be passed on. We work closely with the Aztec Animal Shelter and pass on items that we can't use. So yes, and they can just send us a text, and when we're here, we'll have them drop it off. Easy enough.
I wanna pick up on something that you had mentioned earlier. You talked about the 5 rights of animals. So can you talk a little bit about that and let people know what that is?
I can. I'm gonna grab my cheat sheet because I'm gonna let Allison just you know.
I'll hold it real quick.
Yeah, just hold that real fast. It's over here, right?
Possibly it might not be over there. It might not be on that thing. I rearranged. So, you know, I think one of the things, you know, while they're in foster care, we talk about the 5 rights, and it's so amazing seeing those dogs come from the shelter, and then when they come into our home, you know, sometimes they're experiencing a bed for the first time. A lot of times they'll see a toy and they're confused on what it is and if they can play with it, because it's the first time they've ever got to really relax and get to act like a dog, which is such a cool experience to see. A lot of them usually use the bathroom on our concrete patios, and then they learn like, no, the grass is for you. Please enjoy this. So those are always really cool things to see in there.
So this is, it was something that was established a very long time ago in Great Britain, and the 5 freedoms are the freedom from hunger and thirst, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, injury, or disease, freedom to express normal behavior, freedom from fear and distress. So those are, though I couldn't recite them to you, sorry, off the top of my head, those are like, you know, what I live by with creating a foster-based rescue. And those are the guidelines under what a lot of, you know, people that run animal rescue and also the philanthropy side of it want to see. And these are across the board, you know, not just with dogs or cats, but that goes into, you know, livestock and bigger things. But we do bring that into rescue, ASPCA, Best Friends, all those places are really big on that. So I was touching on, you know, the freedom from stress and to express normal behavior when I was talking about that. So certainly it's kind of that pyramid of even like human and human foster care as well. You know, when you go into like hunger, thirst, safety, all those things that are so important to us as sentient beings, it also goes into the animal welfare, and it's a really important thing to remember when we talk about the foster-centric program, because two of those 5 freedoms, it cannot always be met in a stressful environment, and sometimes not all animals will thrive in that shelter environment. Those shelters are wonderful and very necessary, and until people stay and neuter, we have to have them. But if we can move towards a place where animals can be not unwanted and in foster-based rescues, they can have 2 of those 5 met on a daily basis.
I want to follow up with that because I'd like you guys to share, you know, just like your view on in a perfect world, right? So in a perfect world, would it be legislation? Like what are some of the things that we could do and people could, ideas people could support to really make those a reality for
Yeah,
and
that's a great question with long answers, but I'll try to, you know, my personal view is I would love to see a national network come together. I know there's certain things in the works where you type in 1-800-NEUTER and it connects you with the closest and then first spay neuter date available. And that's it, done. Because that, you know, legislation, yes, education more. Because legislation would be hard because people feel their rights could be taken away. So obviously, you know, it can be a really difficult thing to deal with, but the more education I think that's out there and availability, you know, like I said, we work with DSNP, Dogster Spay Neuter program here, and they're, you know, one of the few or the only really in the area that does, you know, in our area that does low cost spay neuter. And so if there was some way to connect that nationally, you know, that, you know, maybe 10 years down the road, that we're looking at less population in the shelters. There is a lot of information, again, I'll try not to get into it, about how they do surveys on, you know, TNR, trap, neuter, release with cats, and taking out of that population. And within, you know, if you can do so many a year for 5 years, you will basically stop that population from spreading. So with shorter lifespans of a lot of times cats, of course, too, that are out there kind of feral, dogs, you know, a best case scenario, you know, 12, 15 years, you've really got a lot of, the impact can be very quick. So if we get a lot more spay neuter going, it can be a very rewarding, because in less than 20 years we could see, I want to say, don't quote me, the statistics of 9,000 animals a week are euthanized in this country because they are unwanted and there's no homes for it. So I would love to interject here too, when people talk about no-kill shelters. Are you a no-kill rescue? Do they kill there? Let's not go there, because that is a really unfair thing to say until you stop. And if you and you and you and you, if you all want to wait for the next year, we can all be no-kill. There is a need for animals to be humanely euthanized until people spay neuter. Do I love it? No. Animals a week, and nobody can. And so it's the other side. I love rescue, but I'd love to see more spay neuter, and that, you know, so we stand by with spay neuter and with education in that realm to really work for that. When I said I wish we were out of a job, I do. I honestly wish that there was no animals to rescue, because that would mean none of them are sitting and dying and lonely and in shelters without somebody to love or live in a home. Does that partially answer your question, Lori? That was a long answer.
No, that was great. Thank you.
We'd like to be out of.
So that's kind of where, you know, where I personally,
Go ahead.
since you're a little bit delayed. What was the question?
I didn't want to cut you off. Did you have more to say?
Oh, I sure do, but I'll stop there because I think it's probably good on my little soapbox that I have.
I was like, we'd like to be out of a job too. Like, you know, if everybody could just wake up to a higher level of consciousness, we can just, you know, we don't have to worry about what we're doing either. But
That's part of higher level.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's the point of these, right? Is that we want to bring light to all these nonprofits that are doing good in the world, and how we can help educate people to, you know, you had mentioned sentient beings. It's like, you know, I post things on my Facebook that are like, how can people think that animals don't have consciousness? It's like, the dog is rocking the baby with its paw, you know, and, you know, petting the cat next to it and all of those kinds of things. And it's amazing. So with that, if you guys want to talk a little bit more about, I know you like to say, you know, when people ask what the breed is, because sometimes certain breeds are associated with, maybe they're not going to be adopted right away, you know, and like there's all this miscommunication around particular breeds. Maybe you can talk about what you quote as, you know, our pure love. Pure love is breeds that come through Lisa Parker. So, can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to show a little bit about it too. Come on.
Yeah,
Can we talk a little bit about this? This is my foster. Her name is Cinder. Cinder came to us just on Saturday. Oh, he's mad now. He's a little jealous. Cinder is probably a purebred Staffordshire Terrier. Some people just label pit bull. So being, you know, non-breed specific, that we take in all animals and, you know, work with them all. We do see, because of where we live, a lot of the Staffordshires and the pit bull terriers. And tell me the specific question again, Lisa. I got sidetracked with kissing Cinder.
That's okay. I just wanted, you guys had talked before about DNA and breeds and stuff like that, and you
Oh yeah.
your pure love. So I just wanted you to speak a little bit to the breeds and, like people have miscommunications in their minds about what Staffordshire, people call them
Yeah.
So like speak about the breeds a bit.
Yeah, the Durango purebred, Allison came up with that. Kind of goes back to a little bit what we talked about as far as trying to match people to a good personality, energy level, exercise need, lifestyle. Of course, it's ultimately up to the person to choose what they want. And once they meet the dog to do that. But, being non-breed specific, or breedism is what we call it. And we get dogs that look very border collie, and if you do a DNA test on them, they might be 50% pit bull. We had one particularly very popular dog back in March, early April. Miss Piggy was her name in foster care, and Miss Piggy looked like a border collie, and I swear to God, we could have adopted her 100 times over. Everybody wanted Miss Piggy, and they did a DNA, and she's 50% pit bull. And that dog has the best personality, because that's what they are. You saw little Cinder jump up here and start smooching me. If I don't put her back, she is going to be like right here hugging. Very lovely. And just educating on, we can get a dog that might look like a purebred lab or very close to a lab, and then you do a DNA test and they have no Labrador in them. So it's one of the hardest questions we get, and shelters will tell you the same thing, including La Plata County. It's one of their hardest questions. What do you think it has in it? What is the dog? Well, I largely could see, we knew that Levi had hound. That was pretty obvious when they opened their mouths and told us that they had hound in them. But, we can see certain things, but we don't know. And so, we don't want to say, like, we don't want to label them either, because once we say, one word, maybe border collie, people go, border collie, it's all border collie, and then that's the path they go down. That's, I'd like to say, the rabbit hole they go down. And then their minds are unable to grasp, something else, or, oh, the DNA came back with some chow and some pit bull and some of this and that. And they fell in love with the dog prior. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, well, we don't want those breeds. It's like, did you like the dog in front of you? Did you like what? Because a lot of times when they're mixed breeds, they take a little bit of everything. And then we love to say they get the best of all. And it balances them out. When you take one specific breed, they have certain drive, because that's what humans bred them for, was this one drive, like a cattle dog or a terrier, or a hound dog. They have that drive. But when you water it down a little bit, it honestly can make it even better and bring that out. So it is a challenge that we work with, is identifying breeds. Makes it tough to not label.
And I would just challenge everybody to actually, maybe see what they think they like on the website, and then have a meet and greet with an open mind, because
Yes.
a friend of ours was fostering 3 of the hound dogs, and we were like, oh my God, they're so adorable, but we didn't have anything in mind like we're gonna adopt a dog. We went there and Levi just came over and melted our hearts. But in previous, we had a Bernese Mountain Dog, and we always thought, oh, we're going to have a burner moving forward. Never would I have in my mind, I'm going to get this hound dog that howls all the time, right? But his personality was just perfect for us. And I think people just need to open their minds and open their hearts, and they'll find, the perfect dog through that process.
Agreed. That's what we do with human partners too, right? Well, some people, but it's good. That's a great way to put it. I love that. Love hearing that story about Levi too.
So now you said you got into this in your early 20s. So if you...
That's how long I've been doing it. Then I'm right now.
So if you could go back in time and offer some advice to your younger self, what would that be?
Start the nonprofit earlier. And I would probably, I would start the nonprofit earlier. I think it's always been my passion and my calling, and knowing that, just getting it off the ground. All my friends, when I did finally start it, they're like, Yeah, that's about time. Like, really? We thought you would do this like 20 years ago. So that was what I would say to my younger self anyway.
I would tell myself to crate my dogs. 'Cause I went in as a young person adopting dogs, not crating. Would have saved me a lot of things.
A lot of sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of shoes.
Mhm.
Awesome. And what would you both say, you know, if we look now forward, you know, 5 or 10 years, what do you imagine the biggest achievement or contribution that either one of you or Lisa Parker Puppies has made to this community and beyond?
I think it's in the process. I think it's working. You know, the reputation of the organization is preceding us, and we're getting calls for people that want to adopt from us and are willing to wait until we have the dog for them to adopt from us, knowing the time and the effort that we put into it. And, you know, I think in the community, what it does is create longer relationships and lasting homes where we don't have to see dogs rehomed as much. You know, things always happen. Dogs have to be rehomed sometimes, and it's to no fault of anybody. Occasionally, it's just what it is. But when we say forever home, we really want those to be, you know, a true forever home. And that makes everybody happier too, not just the animal, but the people, because it's a positive experience. And when there's positive builds on positive. And, you know, when we hear all these great stories, I mean, for me, it's like when Allison was talking about seeing her dogs on the trails or downtown, you know, and when people go, I love Susu, it's the best thing ever, you know, like it's just good energy. And that's part of what I love seeing and that I want to see more of in, you know, the next decade.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that just continuing to positively impact people's lives through dogs, and so much of what you talked about of keeping an open mind on what kind of dog you can welcome into your life is huge. Because I'm the same way. I didn't think that, you know, I wanted certain types of dogs, and then certain ones just kind of call to you and become part of your family.
Like,
and
we had no idea about a Pomeranian.
I
It'd be like the cutest thing ever. We love him.
Yeah, and I think, you know, down the line, I would love to be able to, you know, as Lisa Parker Puppies grows, to have a larger facility. You know, that would be Lisa and I's dream, where we could really take in, you know, parvo puppies and dogs to be able to support and that kind of care from dogs that are down in New Mexico and don't have a chance, and that we have the resources and time to be able to save more lives would be something that I would really like to see in our future.
We always want to remain foster centric, but there is a need, and there'll be a strong need for us to have, you know, kind of a holding facility for those dogs for health reasons that we don't know if, so we don't want to put them in a home. Behaviorally, they just need time to decompress, but not necessarily in a home. So yeah, Allison hit the nail, you know, on the head with that. We do want a place that we can and move them to foster safely. So it would be matriculating them in to a foster system after a holding area. And a place to store all these crates that are just sitting on the ground here.
And is there, you talked earlier about, you know, different ways that people can help and donate. Is there a specific, do you have like a specific fund that you're working toward to have that bigger place where you can take care of some needier dogs?
Yeah, soon we will. That's a capital campaign. We have not launched that yet. Right now, though, everything helps. We're doing our 5-year anniversary, everything on the sites that Allison mentioned, as well as email lists. It's all out there. It will come to our big grand finale next Monday evening, Facebook Live from 6 to 7 p.m. And we'll be having a lot of different guests there. Our board of directors, who's very involved, will be there. Adopters, fosters. So it'll be really fun. And that's kind of our last like big fund drive for our 5-year anniversary. We need to make sure we're set for the coming year. And then very soon in the future, we'll be seeing a capital campaign. And again, on all those sites, we'll make it easy to find, no problem.
And then just to follow up, you had talked about your behavioralist, and I know before COVID, maybe you were starting to also offer some other training classes there. Is there still opportunity for people to do that social distancing, or do you have plans in the future like, hey, you got a dog, or is it only for people that have already adopted or other people in the community that feel like they need to have socialization and behavioral classes with the experts?
Yeah, great question. So Kimberly Silver Kincaid is our behaviorist. She runs Stack Rock Kennels, and she does a lot of it. We also work with Cheryl Albrecht, Lead Off Leash. She does a great job as well. And then we are working with Creature Comforts does great, 4 or 5 week sessions for puppies. We do for our adopters, we offer 2 that are basic manners. We're going to continue that. They should learn how to walk and sit. The people need to learn how to teach. So we do those. We're going to do those twice a month and continue to do those. And then pass that on, if they want more, then there's those resources. Cheryl, Kimberly, Creature Comforts has a lot of great classes because they have a huge new training room. Right now, what we do is our classes in the park. So it's really nice for social distancing. And then once they go inside, Creature Comforts, again, has that wonderful big training room. And we just follow the rules, limit the number of people, and wear masks. And we feel like we can do it very safely.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for spending this time with us today and for everything that you do for the community, for these animals. It's truly an amazing job that you do. You give so much from your hearts, and we're very, very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for all you guys do too. It's beautiful, wonderful positiveness that you put out in the community.
Mm-hmm. Love your program, and if people want to get in touch, please visit lisaparkerspuppies.com and also their social media under Lisa Parker's Puppies.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Can we say goodbye? Bye. Bye.
He's like, look